Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Paul Carty, Chairperson of Fáilte Ireland, and on behalf of the authority of Fáilte Ireland, I want to warmly welcome you this morning and thank you for logging on to Fáilte Ireland's virtual industry event entitled Driving Sustainable Recovery. This morning's session is about providing you with information on Fáilte Ireland's plans and priorities as we support you to recover sustainably in 2023 and beyond. This time last year, we met in person in Dublin for the launch of our 2022 work plans, but this year it was decided to hold one national online event followed by 9 regional in-person sessions for industry. This allows for a rich one-to-one engagement on the ground with the Fáilte Ireland teams working on your behalf in your communities and regions, whilst also helping to reduce our collective carbon footprint. The regional sessions will provide the perfect opportunity for you to delve deeper into our plans and priorities that are designed to benefit you on your journey of sustainable recovery. I'm a lifetime working in tourism, so I've seen the power and joy of our industry in communities across this country and globally. Welcoming and entertaining visitors is central to our identity, our economy, and our character as a people, and you do it impeccably. As Chair, I want to recognise and thank the professional and dedicated staff of Fáilte Ireland, led by Paul Kelly and his excellent executive team of Deborah Nolan, Jenny DeSaulles, Paul Keeley, Orla Carroll and Niall Tracy. They have displayed great agility and expertise, and I'm immensely proud of their resilience and adaptability, particularly during the pandemic years. I know right now you are facing real challenges just to keep the doors open, ranging from rising operational costs and capacity issues to supply and demand constraints. But there are opportunities too, and tailored business supports that Fáilte Ireland is providing, which Paul and Jenny will outline this morning. There will also be a fascinating presentation by Fáilte Ireland's Head of Consumer Planning and Insights, Jill Azevedo, and on our new best-in-class research that reveals the motivations behind why people take a domestic break and how you can use this insight in your operations. I want to recognise Minister Catherine Martin and our officials at the Department of Tourism. Minister Martin is extremely supportive of our 2023 plans and has provided the financial means by which we can implement them. Her consistently strong voice for tourism at the Cabinet table is deeply appreciated and acknowledged. The financial supports that she secured in previous budgets during the pandemic enabled Fáilte Ireland to deliver critical business continuity grants to thousands of tourism and hospitality businesses. This funding provided a lifeline for so many businesses on the brink. The Minister has recorded a message to speak to you directly. But before I introduce the Minister's video, I want to leave you with a final thought about quality that I've learned from my time working in the business. You can recover and you can prosper because the quality of the tourism product that you're producing is world-class, and visitors, both international and domestic, will want to experience it repeatedly. Profit comes from repeat customers. In conclusion, I hope you find the presentations this morning useful and informative, and I encourage you to attend your regional session this week. So without further ado, please stand by for a special message from our Minister for Tourism, Catherine Martin. Thank you.
Díomh a cairde agus chuirm fáilte romh rih imeacht furúil an Arla, fáilte éireann le tearnamh infonachach a chur chun cinn. The theme, sustainable recovery, is at the heart of what the government, Fáilte Ireland and other agencies work towards as we try to rebuild the sector with you, the industry. I would like to thank Fáilte Ireland for inviting me to speak at the launch of their important plans for 2023 as they support businesses, communities and regions. This will be a critical year for tourism recovery in the aftermath of the pandemic and the hardship it brought to families and businesses. In recent times, there has been an increasing recognition that tourism growth must be sustainable, environmentally as well as commercially and socially. It has given us an opportunity to reimagine the tourism sector now that we have entered the recovery phase. It is becoming more and more apparent that a tourism enterprise built on sustainability principles is good for business as it promotes longevity and further interaction with key stakeholders. Consumers are voting with their wallets, and this has led to many enterprises taking steps to make their offering more sustainable, generating more business as a result. I commend Fáilte Ireland, who have taken concrete steps to address these challenges, including the development of climate action business guides and a carbon calculator for tourism businesses. This will allow our industry to measure and understand their carbon footprint, set targets for emission reductions, and benchmark their business both with themselves over time and other tourism businesses. My department has initiated the development of a new national sustainable tourism policy that will seek to mainstream sustainability. The development of this policy will involve extensive consultation with you, the industry, and communities to help set out a path for the coming years. As we emerge from the devastation inflicted on tourism by COVID-19, I think we do so with hope and optimism for the 2023 season. Research shows Ireland is a country where international visitors want to travel to and domestic visitors continue to explore. But I know there are concerns too. Like others, tourism businesses are struggling in this climate of geopolitical upheaval and rising operational costs. I know many of you are experiencing severe personal and financial hardship as you try to recover. Hotel capacity, energy costs and labour shortages will continue to challenge the tourism industry this year, but I am continuing to direct significant resources to supporting the sustainable recovery of the sector. In Budget 2023, I secured additional funding for the industry in the areas of marketing, skills and staffing, product development and sustainability. Funding for Fáilte Ireland amounts to €94.7 million in 2023 to drive sustainability, boost recruitment and the establishment of a new short-term letting register. There is continued funding of €15 million for the Tourism Marketing Fund, giving a total allocation of €63.2 million for overseas marketing of Ireland. And there is €36.5 million for tourism product development. I recognise concern in the industry that the number of tourism beds taken out for humanitarian reasons is impacting recovery in 2023. We all agree that hotel accommodation is not an ideal medium to long-term solution for the needs of families. That is why the government is progressing a range of alternative options, including the use of a rapid build housing for families fleeing the war in Ukraine. Other progress includes the refurbishment of homes and the use of vacant properties. Government is working urgently with NGOs and local authorities to bring new accommodation on board. My department, at a senior officials group, has communicated the challenges, particularly in those parts of the country where high proportions of tourism stock are directed to humanitarian purposes. With Fáilte Ireland and others, we are assessing how to mitigate any impacts on the long-term use of tourism accommodation. Analysis is being done on those towns or areas most impacted, with a focus on the sectoral skills at risk and the businesses suffering most. Ireland has never seen so many people arrive in such a short time frame, as we have welcomed the equivalent of the population of Galway City in under 1 year. Nonetheless, over generations, Irish people have sought shelter and opportunities abroad. Throughout history, Ireland has also had a long tradition of supporting other nations in times of trouble. It is the right thing to do, but it is a difficult issue and requires action on a number of fronts. I am aware there is anxiety about the government plans around the retention of the current 9% VAT rate. What I can say is that I hear you, and I assure you I am bringing your concerns to Cabinet members, including the Minister for Finance, whose remit it is. Ultimately, it will be a collective decision by government based on the effectiveness of all fiscal supports. And any decision must recognise other supports that may be required in society. All of this will be decided shortly. I recognise that tourism businesses face a significant challenge in retaining and hiring staff with the appropriate skills. Paul Kelly and Jenny DeSaulles will this morning outline Fáilte Ireland's plans in the area of tourism careers, building on their work in 2022. The government is determined to support the industry in building sustainable careers, and I am confident progress will be made this year again on this. I would like to thank Paul and the whole Fáilte Ireland team for their hard work throughout a difficult year in 2022 and for preparing their plans for 2023. Like always, they stand ready, willing and able to assist tourism businesses recover sustainably. I also want to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for your important contribution to the national effort and in sustaining tourism. The government remains committed to supporting this recovery, and for my part, as Minister with responsibility for tourism, I will continue to seek that the necessary supports are in place to support and give impetus to that recovery. Gurav Mahagav agus Thasulagam Gagaroi Session Namajna Shah Gumor Liv agus Gavalamoi Shiv Galore Ui.
Thank you, Minister Martin, and thank you, Paul. But most of all, thanks to all of you for joining us online today as we outline Fáilte Ireland's plans for 2023. Before I start, I just want to acknowledge Minister Martin and her officials for their unwavering support for the tourism sector in general and for Fáilte Ireland's work to support the sector in particular. I would also like to take this opportunity to pay tribute to our authority members and to our chairman, Paul Carty. Unfortunately for us, Paul's time as chairman of Fáilte Ireland must come to an end in May. And while I know we will be keeping him very busy for a few months yet, I wanted to take this opportunity while we are all gathered here virtually today to say thank you to Paul on behalf of everyone in the tourism industry, all of the team in Fáilte Ireland and myself. Paul, your passionate advocacy for what is best for Irish tourism has been so important, and your unstinting support and positivity so welcome during all of the challenges of recent years. Gurav Míle Maith. Previously, we would have gathered in the Convention Centre or Croke Park in Dublin for our annual plans launch. But this year, we're trying a different approach. We want to give more people an opportunity to hear our plans firsthand without requiring people to spend a full day travelling to and from Dublin. So our short virtual session today, we will take you through a national overview of Fáilte Ireland's plans for 2023. And at the regional in-person events taking place from tomorrow, you'll hear more about our exciting local and regional plans across Ireland's hidden heartlands, Ireland's ancient east, the Wild Atlantic Way, and of course, Dublin. If you haven't registered for your local event yet, I really encourage you to do so this morning. You will get a lot more detail about how Fáilte Ireland will be supporting each business and each local area at these regional briefings. Before we look at our plans for 2023, let us just take a few moments to look back at 2022. I know it's a year that posed immense challenges for many of you, but it's important to reflect on how well the industry dealt with these challenges and how it laid the foundations for future development. I would just like to share a short video on some of the ways that Fáilte Ireland contributed to the sector's achievements over 2022.
After 2 challenging years, 2022 began with caution and a glimmer of hope. As our economy and sector reopened and international and domestic visitors returned, our focus was the same as yours: recovery. Fáilte Ireland worked with you, our industry partners, to recover from the pandemic tackle emerging challenges, and maximise new opportunities to help us rebuild and emerge stronger than before. We delivered a €50 million government funding programme to hundreds of tourism businesses that urgently needed financial support. We provided new expert business training and a calendar of capability-building supports that empowered businesses to grow. Addressing the skills and staffing shortages in our industry remained a priority. Using comprehensive research, we developed training and supports to position tourism as a rewarding sector to work in. We launched our Employer Excellence Programme to spotlight outstanding employers in the industry and provide training to thousands of employees and managers. Together with our industry and government partners, we worked to improve access to a skilled workforce and created dedicated campaigns to drive awareness of exciting careers in tourism for both experienced workers and young minds open to new possibilities. We set our focus on driving domestic tourism and inspired the nation to keep discovering Ireland, making it easier for them to choose the next adventure by enhancing the online presence of tourism businesses and bringing exciting travel inspiration into their homes, so that together we could explore the wonders of our beautiful country. With your input, we created long-term regional development strategies and began working on 37 destination and experience development plans, all tailored to support the sustainable development of tourism in Ireland's ancient East, the Wild Atlantic Way, Ireland's hidden heartlands, and Dublin. And we supported tourism businesses to transform their online presence on our Digital That Delivers programme. And we're just getting started. Together with our partners, we welcomed visitors to 6 newly opened attractions in counties Wicklow, Mayo, Kerry, Monaghan, Meath, and Roscommon. And for the first time in 2 years, we were able to come together to celebrate the magic of festivals. We continue to build a pipeline of business tourism opportunities with hundreds of business events and conferences, and Ireland's biggest ever golf tournaments and conventions. We've continued to support the nation's passion for the great outdoors by developing new walkways and schemes, investing in new cycling trails and greenways, and launching the world's first accredited Blue Ways in counties Meath and Tipperary. Driving climate action in tourism businesses was a key focus for us in 2022. We delivered our first climate action conference for tourism businesses, hosted energy management workshops across the country, and introduced a new carbon calculator, as well as a range of practical guides to help businesses make meaningful changes. To ensure long-term success, we collaborated closely with our parent department and state agencies to develop tourism-specific sustainability plans. We closed the year with the announcement of €68 million in EU Just Transition funding, allocated to Fáilte Ireland to transform regenerative tourism in the Midlands and to develop new opportunities for tourism employment in the communities. Last year, together, we set our tourism industry on the path of sustainable recovery, but there is still much to do. In 2023, we will continue driving sustainable tourism development, so that together we will see our tourism economy recover sustainably and emerge stronger than ever before.
Watching that video reminds me of what we have all been through together and what we have all achieved in the last 12 months. But I think it's just worth taking a moment to reflect on what you have come through. A recent analysis conducted by our economic and industry analysis team showed that the sector lost €12 billion in revenue due to COVID-19. The very welcome and comprehensive package of government supports injected about €6 billion into the sector to keep businesses alive. But the sector still had to manage through a huge net loss of €6 billion in revenue, which all of you did with admirable resilience, agility, both as individuals, as businesses, and as a sector. I continue to be hugely proud of the team that I am privileged to work with in Fáilte Ireland. I'm in awe of their commitment to delivering for our industry, and I can assure you that the focus and drive we have for sustaining and developing the sector is unwavering. We will approach 2023 with the same focus, energy and passion, and we look forward to collaborating with all of you to implement the ambitious plans that I will be outlining in a few minutes. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the people who have played a pivotal role in driving our tourism recovery over the last number of years, including the Fáilte Ireland Authority, as well as our industry advisory group members, the board and members of the Irish Tourism Industry Confederation, ITIC, our partners in the OPW, in Waterways Ireland, the National Parks and Wildlife Service, Fáilte, the 31 local authorities and the City and County Managers Association. In 2022, we had a lot of cross-governmental collaboration as well. And I would like to thank our colleagues in the Departments of Rural and Community Development, Enterprise, Trade and Employment, Transport, Children, Equality, Diversity and Integration and Youth for all of their dedicated work this year. And finally, on your behalf, I want once again to recognise the tremendous support we have received from Minister Martin and all of the officials in the department. Secretary-General Catherine Licken, Assistant Secretary Cian O'Lean, Bernard, Maria, Orla and all of the team. Now, before we get into our plans for 2023, we'll take a brief look back at where we were at the close of last year. The overseas market recovered well last year and inbound arrivals got closer to pre-COVID levels towards the end of the year. The EU market was the fastest to return, and towards the end of the year, we also started to see strong US business, but the UK remains challenged. There was also a strong performance in domestic tourism in 2022. Total trips were up compared to 2019 by 14%, with holiday trips and holiday nights both up about 20%. We were particularly delighted to see that despite the rush to our airports once travel restrictions were lifted, domestic holidays increased their share of total holidays taken by Irish residents from 51% in 2019 up to 57% in 2022, which is great news from both an economic and an environmental point of view. So let's now turn our attention to the outlook for this year. There are three things I want to talk about as we face into this year: the demand side opportunities, the supply side challenges, and our new sectoral sustainability targets. Firstly, let's look at overseas demand outlook. Last month, Tourism Ireland shared their latest overseas research and plans, and there is undoubtedly a big interest in holidaying in Ireland. And as you can see from this chart, our air access capacity from all markets will be the best we have ever had, currently projecting to surpass 2019 levels by 3%. Looking at the domestic market, consideration for taking a domestic holiday in 2023 is at 82%, which is in line with where it was at 2019 levels. And our intention to take a domestic break in the next 3 months is at 23%. Visitor satisfaction is high, but offering good value for money is critical to convert the domestic intention into domestic bookings. While the dollar to euro exchange rate has had a big help in our value perceptions among US visitors, we are seeing early warning signs on our value for money ratings amongst domestic, UK and European visitors. And this is something we as an industry need to be really mindful of this year. When we asked you, what did you think 2023 will look like? Most businesses are predicting it being better than 2022, primarily driven by a return of overseas visitors. But this is not uniform across all sectors and across all regions, with some businesses predicting a more challenging year, particularly businesses based in areas where a lot of the tourism accommodation is unlikely to be available to tourists this season, and also particularly the case for food and drink-based businesses. Turning to the supply side, here, unfortunately, the picture is less positive, and there will be many businesses facing real challenges due to various supply side constraints, either in their own business or in other sectors of the tourism ecosystem that they rely on. Firstly, you don't need me to tell you about the unprecedented rise in operating costs that every tourism business is experiencing: energy, labour, insurance, food and drink, linen, etc., etc. These rising costs are putting huge pressure on all operators, and many businesses are struggling to maintain margins. Fáilte Ireland is engaging with all stakeholders to ensure there is a full understanding of these cost pressures and to push for any action which can be taken to help businesses manage this. The accommodation market is experiencing capacity constraints due to the humanitarian response to the Ukrainian conflict and issues around housing supply. Nationally, between 25 to 30% of the visitor accommodation stock could be unavailable for use in 2023 by tourists. But there are counties and towns where the majority of tourism accommodation is currently unavailable to tourists. And if this remains the case across the summer, this will have a devastating impact to the other businesses that rely on visitors staying in their area. We are monitoring this situation very closely and are providing insight and analysis to government on this impact. Recruitment and retention of staff will also continues to be an ongoing issue for the industry, and the labour market remains very, very tight. The lack of availability of hire cars was an issue last year, and while the situation has improved, hire car stock projections for the high season are still significantly lower than they were in 2019. And with such a strong air access forecast, this is likely to mean there will be pressure on hire car availability again this summer. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, value for money will continue to be a key issue, with many consumers concerned about inflation and general cost of living. As we seek to leverage the opportunities and deal with the challenges ahead, we also need to do this in the context of a global climate emergency, and therefore we must all take the steps required to reach our national sustainability goals. The Irish government has committed to carbon neutrality no later than 2050 and has set a target for 35% reduction in emissions for our sector by 2030. The collective impact of changes that each of you make in your own business can and will make a powerful and material difference, both to our industry's future and for Ireland's climate targets. But we must take these actions today. This is no longer something we can leave until next month or next year. We must act now. So given these opportunities and challenges the industry face, how will Fáilte Ireland support the industry in 2023? Well, back in 2021, we conducted significant research and consultation to develop the best strategy to ensure that Irish tourism doesn't just bounce back from COVID, but bounces forward to an even bigger and brighter future. We arrived at 7 key areas of transformational change. These are still the most relevant areas today, and our plans for 2023 are built around these 7 key pillars, as we call them. These are driving sustainable recovery at the level of individual businesses, supporting businesses and employers to have more and better careers in tourism, accelerating the growth in domestic tourism, enhancing our outdoor offering, driving best practice in adoption of digital technology, continuing to develop the quality of our visitor experiences at local destinations, and getting these destinations into global distribution channels, and of course, driving climate action. I'm now going to take you through a few top-line bullets for each of these 7 strategic pillars, which will outline how we will be supporting you and developing the wider tourism sector. You will get a lot more detail on how these plans will be brought to life in your local region at the regional face-to-face briefings in the coming days. Firstly, to support recovery at the level of the business, we will be engaging with over 1,000 businesses to build their capability in areas like commercial acumen, reducing operating costs, revenue generation, and improving the customer experience. In tourism careers, we will build on the strong progress of 2022. In 2023, we will continue to help build businesses' capabilities in recruiting and onboarding staff, as well as promoting careers in tourism to the next generation of talent, from TY programs at secondary school through to third-level colleges and the ongoing development of our tourismcareers.ie website. With so many new staff coming into our industry post-COVID, there is a big need for upskilling in a range of areas, and our new online learning hub will provide a great platform, and this will focus on 3 key strands. Deliver structured induction programs and initial skills for new staff, deliver skills enhancement and support career progression, and drive business performance focusing on in-demand skills like customer service. And finally, we will continue to support employers build both their capability and their reputation as providing an excellent working environment through our Employer Excellence Programme. In 2023, we will be focusing on getting more businesses on board the programme on a current scheme and also launching a new scheme designed for businesses of less than 20 employees. and of course providing tailored supports to businesses to constantly and consistently drive good employment practices. Our Director of Sector Development, Jenny DeSaulles, will tell you more about this later. The domestic market is critical for sustainable recovery and plays a key role in driving regional and seasonal spread. This year we have ambitious plans to increase tourism revenue from the domestic audience, which includes the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. To do this, we will continue to focus on and invest in our regional brands, grow the number of consumers who say they intend to take a trip to Ireland through our Keep Discovering campaign, our RTE weather sponsorship and other media channels. Encourage consumers to book a trip by promoting festivals and events and occasions and other great reasons to travel. We will build new partnerships with third parties to promote new campaigns and drive bookings, and we will use our website to drive customer referrals directly to tourism businesses. And we will continue to provide you with easy-to-use best practice tools through our sales and marketing supports. Later this morning, my colleague Gilda Azevedo, our Head of Consumer Planning and Insights, will give you a small preview of our new motivations framework. This new best-in-world piece of research brings a new level of insights as to why Irish and Northern Irish people take a domestic holiday. These insights will enable you to meet customers' needs better and attract more customers. So please make sure to stay tuned for this fascinating new research. Ireland's beautiful natural scenery and quaint historic towns have always been a key driver for travel in and to Ireland. And while we have always had a great outdoors, we do not always make this as easy as it could be for visitors to access and enjoy. One of the lasting global effects of COVID is the massive increase in the desire for and the appreciation of the outdoors. Never has it been more important that we make the best use of our great outdoors. To this end, Fáilte Ireland is currently working on nearly 120 outdoor enhancement projects throughout the country, and these will come on stream over the next 5 years. This year, working with our partners and local authorities, we will complete 6 urban animation projects, 23 public realm enhancements in destination towns. We will deliver 4 major outdoor dining projects, which will add nearly 460 extra seats, outdoor dining seats, to the 4,000 that have already been delivered. This year, we will also complete 3 of our new world-class water sports changing facilities and continue to work on the development of the remaining 17. Working with our partners in Waterways Ireland, we also plan to get 2 new blueways up to accreditation standard. We will continue to improve our walking and cycling trails. Working with Fáilte, we will deliver 300 kilometres of mountain biking trails. And we will continue our work with the Department of Transport, enhancing the visitor experience on our greenways, and we will be focusing on 3 of these in 2023. We will also continue to work with the Department of Rural and Community Development on the Rural Walk Scheme, and in long distance walking, plans are being developed for both the Beara Breffni Way and the Wild Atlantic Way coastal path. We will also continue to work with the National Parks and Wildlife Service on enhancing and expanding the visitor experience in our beautiful national parks. Finally, what better way to showcase Ireland's outdoor offering than through participative events like running and triathlon competitions? We started a pilot scheme last year, and we hope to expand this in 2023, with the aim of growing these events into festival weekends, not just for participants, but for friends and families. You can find out more about how to leverage what is happening in your area at the regional face-to-face briefings from tomorrow. Another lasting global impact of COVID is the acceleration of the widespread adoption of digital technology. And to stay competitive, Irish tourism businesses need to make sure that we are at the forefront of this digital transformation. Later this year, we will be establishing a new division in Fáilte Ireland, specifically focusing on helping industries to stay abreast of and adopt new developments in this area. But of course, we've already started to work on this. Our Digital That Delivers programme is a groundbreaking initiative from Fáilte Ireland designed to power digital transformation for visitor attractions and activity providers and day tours over a 2-year programme. This programme supports businesses to showcase the product in front of more domestic and international customers, grow online sales and develop digital skills. Businesses on this programme will become more promotable, more searchable and ultimately more bookable online. We are delivering this program in partnership with leading digital experts to provide training, mentoring, and financial supports. These include a bespoke digital roadmap and action plan, grant funding for projects to enable areas like website enhancement, improved booking systems, new content, and digital marketing strategies. 227 businesses will graduate from this program in 2023, and while a further 200 will be recruited to start a new 2-year digital transformation program this year. Expressions of interest for this new intake for the program will start in Q2, and we will share more information through our Fáilte Ireland communication channels in advance of that. As we all know, the most important factor in our own holidays is the quality of the experience that we have when we're in destination. Therefore, developing the visitor experience in destinations in a planful, coordinated and sustainable way is key to sustaining the long-term success in tourism and will always be a focus area for Fáilte Ireland. In the coming weeks, we will be launching our 4 long-term regional tourism development strategies. We will also develop 10 new destination-level experience development plans this year, and we will continue to progress our national pipeline of 27 large-scale attractions. We have 3 of these exciting projects opening in 2023, Mount Congreve House and Gardens in County Waterford, a new National Surf Centre in Strand Hill, and Queen Maeve Square also in Sligo. In order to attract visitors and enhance the experience, Fáilte Ireland directly funds and works with 45 key festivals around the country, and we support a further 200 through our regional funding with local authorities. The flip side of developing brilliant destinations is getting these destinations into the shop window of global distribution channels. We do this by providing a massive 15,500 contracting opportunities for over 900 Irish businesses at 8 in-Ireland sales platforms, including, of course, our flagship Mehel event, which will be in Killarney again this year. We also work with all 96 Irish-based inbound agents, and together with our colleagues in Tourism Ireland, we will provide over 670 Irish businesses the opportunity to attend 48 international leisure sales platforms organised by Tourism Ireland. We will also be working with all our stakeholders to develop new strategies to grow the golf and luxury segments. On the business tourism side, after a very successful restart year in 2022, we have ambitious targets again for 2023, where we want to generate 275 million worth of new leads, convert leads into confirmed events worth 190 million in future revenue, and support the delivery of confirmed events worth 210 million in 2023. And of course, as 75% of all international conferences that come to Ireland are secured with the help of a conference ambassador, we will be launching a targeted conference ambassador recruitment campaign in the coming months. We will also enhance conversion supports programme, and together with Tourism Ireland and our department and the industry, we will develop and launch a new strategy for the future growth of business tourism. Underpinning all of our work for this year is our commitment to driving climate action for tourism businesses. And to do this, we will be focusing on 5 key areas. Firstly, we know you can't manage what you can't measure. And this year we will be working with 350 strategic tourism businesses who are already actively using our carbon calculator. And the first time we will establish a baseline data for the Irish tourism industry. We will continue to use our climate action roadmap toolkit to work with businesses to develop action plans to support the reduction of their carbon footprint while also reducing their costs by making changes in areas like energy, food, water and waste. We will design and develop and start to roll out an umbrella certification programme that will allow businesses to show their sustainability credentials to industry and importantly to customers. We will invest 500,000 euros in our first ever marketing campaign specifically to promote businesses that are demonstrating real progress on their sustainability journey. And we will be collaborating with the Sustainable Energy Authority of Ireland to enhance the tourism relevance and eligibility for their grant schemes. Well, look, I hope that has given you a flavour of the work we will be doing to support you across the 7 key areas of transformation that I've talked about: business recovery, careers, domestic demand, the outdoors, digitisation, destination development and climate action. And as I said, you will get a lot more detail on these areas and a more local perspective at the regional face-to-face briefings. But our work doesn't stop there. There are 3 major new strategic initiatives that will get underway in 2023 and that will be important in their own way to the long-term sustainable development of tourism in Ireland. Firstly, the EU Just Transition Fund. Fáilte Ireland was recently awarded 68 million euros to develop and implement a regenerative tourism project in the Midlands before the end of 2026. The objective of Ireland's Just Transition Fund is to generate employment for former peat harvesting-based communities. Fáilte Ireland recognised the potential of tourism to achieve this and developed a submission to create new enterprises and jobs by establishing the Midlands as an authentic regenerative tourism destination, based on the sustainable use of peatlands and wetlands. A team is currently working on this plan, which will focus on the development of trails network, sustainable accommodation offerings, and regenerative tourism business supports. More information on this transformational project will be provided in our regional briefing in Athlone on Friday. Secondly, the Shared Island Initiative, which aims to harness the full potential of the Good Friday Agreement to enhance cooperation, connection and mutual understanding on the island, and to engage with all communities and traditions to build consensus around a shared future. Fáilte Ireland, Tourism Ireland and Tourism Northern Ireland developed a joint proposal for the Wild Atlantic Way and the Causeway Coastal Route for the brand collaboration. This will connect the 2 routes to ensure visitors are motivated to stay longer and spend more in the area. The project covers parts of Sligo and Donegal on the Wild Atlantic Way and parts of Derry and Antrim on the Causeway Coast. It will also include the development of discovery points along the route, improving signage and orientation for visitors, as well as cross-border regional destination development to enable promotion of the region as a whole. More detail will be provided in the regional briefing in Sligo tomorrow. And finally, we have the new short-term tourism letting register that's currently progressing through the legislative process. This new register should be in place in Q2. And this will mean that we will have some further short-term accommodation challenges to overcome. But we all need to recognise tourism can only flourish when it is developed in a way that is consistent with wider society interests. In the context of our national housing crisis, housing that was developed for and is more appropriate for residential use should return to the residential market. And our new tourism accommodation register will facilitate the provision and marketing of all appropriate tourism accommodation. Jenny DeSaulles will go through this in more detail in just a minute. Before I hand you over to Jenny, who will take you through a bit more detail about how we will be helping you with some of the supply side challenges and also the new short-term tourism Let's register, I want to thank you for your attention as I've outlined how Fáilte Ireland will be helping the Irish tourism sector this year. But I also want to leave you with my 2 key asks to everyone out there about how you can help the Irish tourism sector this year. Firstly, protect our planet by taking meaningful action to reduce your business carbon emissions. And secondly, protect Ireland's long-term reputation as a value for money destination. Short-term excessive pricing in a time of capacity constraints will damage our value for money reputation, and we know this takes years to repair. So let us all not let short-term individual opportunism damage our long-term collective prosperity. Gurv Mahagav.
Thank you, Paul. I'm Jenny DeSaulles, Director of Sector Development, and I'm delighted to be with you today. As Paul called out, there are 5 key supply-side challenges facing tourism this year. All of you have seen operational costs increase in 2022, and we know that core tourism and hospitality input costs are often among the highest in Europe. Electricity prices are above average, and Ireland has the 2nd highest cost of credit, and the recent legislative changes will increase the cost of labour. The viability of long-standing business models are being called into question as you struggle to maintain sustainable margins due to margin pressure from rising costs and a reduced ability to pass on increases. To support you to adapt your business models, Fáilte Ireland will be rolling out a programme to help you drive operational change, to minimise costs and to positively impact your bottom line. We are seeing a shortage of accommodation due to support of the humanitarian crisis. 25% of tourism accommodation, including Dublin, is currently contracted, and that's 30% outside of Dublin. And the bigger challenge is the spread. As you can see from the map, certain key tourism destinations like Donegal have lost over 50% of their accommodation. Clare, Sligo and Kerry have lost between 35 and 39%. And this is having a detrimental impact on the wider tourism economy. We and the Department of Tourism are meeting bi-weekly with the Department of Children, ensuring the impact on tourism is understood and expressing an urgent need for a more balanced approach to the crisis. And we are supporting our department on developing proposals for government consideration on how impacted non-accommodation businesses could be supported. This summer, the car hire fleet will be 60% of its size in 2019, and the ability of the sector to refleet is extremely challenged. A hire car is key to how 1/3 of overseas visitors engage with Ireland, with car hire availability and price being researched early in the consumer decision journey. Any lack of availability or high pricing has a negative impact on likelihood to visit Ireland and is damaging for the country's reputation as a good value destination. Fáilte Ireland have completed and submitted analysis to support a change in the VAT on VRT issue, which would have a significant impact on the sector's ability to refleet. And we have been working with the industry in exploring creative options to increase supply. Pre-COVID-19, Ireland was seen as a relatively high-cost but competitive destination, evident by the arrival of almost 10 million overseas tourists. As we enter financially tighter times, value perceptions matter more. And experience shows that should Irish tourism get a reputation for poor value, it will be very difficult to reverse. A number of supports will be available to help you deliver value for money, including workshops on pricing strategy and experience development and commercial management programs. The staffing situation is much improved on 2022, but the labour market remains very tight, particularly at peak season. Better pay, enhanced terms and conditions and an improved workplace environment have improved the perception of the tourism sector for those working within it, but there is still much to do to change perceptions of those outside the sector. Of all the operating challenges listed, this is the one that is most within your control. And in 2023, we have an extensive tourism careers plan to support you with your staffing challenges. Today, I want to take you through 2 initiatives within this plan. The first is our Excellent Employer Programme. This programme was launched in 2022 and remains open to tourism businesses to register. To date, we have had over 170 businesses registered and participating in the programme. 2,100 people managers and team leads from these participating businesses are completing our bespoke fundamentals of people management training, upskilling them on core skills such as performance management, team development, and managing high-performance teams. In addition, 20,000 employees in these businesses have undergone an employee survey, giving them the opportunity to highlight what they feel is working well in the business from their perspective and the areas they feel are opportunities to further develop. These businesses are now implementing actions identified in their survey to further enhance their employee experience. In 2023, we will roll out the Excellent Employer Programme certification for businesses who have completed their employee survey and the required people management learning. Certification is based on the results coming out of the employee surveys and provides opportunities to showcase involvement in the programme in your recruitment activities, as well as the continuing development of your existing teams and supporting ongoing staff retention. For tourism businesses with fewer than 20 employees, we plan to launch a process that enables them to participate in the Excellent Employer Programme, and that will enable the voice of their employees to also be included. We will have a dedicated B2B campaign running across 2023 to highlight the benefits of new businesses registering, but this will also give participating businesses an opportunity to leverage their involvement and support their recruitment activities for the season. Excellent Employer Programme is yielding excellent data and insights from participating businesses and their employee surveys, which we in Fáilte Ireland are using to develop business supports to help participating businesses implement their action plans and to continue the development of their team. To celebrate the successes to date of participating businesses and to showcase what is already working well in the tourism sector, we will hold our first Employer Excellent Awards event this year, which we hope will become an annual celebration of the very best in employee engagement in tourism. Businesses who are currently registered on the programme and who have completed their surveys and learning will be invited to attend. The event will take place on April 19th in the Guinness Storehouse, with 10 category winners being awarded, celebrating successful employee engagement. The awards will be complemented by a national media campaign, which will spotlight best-in-class employers as well as inspirational employees in the sector, showing the way in best practice engagement. The second area I want to share with you today is a new best-in-class learning management platform. Learnify will launch in March and will support employees to develop and progress their careers in a dynamic and agile way that suits them and responds to the skills needs of the industry. This platform will also support you, the employer, as a great retention tool that helps to develop your teams and map out progression pathways and learning for your employees.
Welcome to Learnify, a learning platform developed by Fáilte Ireland to support tourism businesses. Learnify provides access to hundreds of powerful learning resources designed to upskill your staff and drive business performance. Learnify offers relevant and time-saving solutions for onboarding and retaining new staff, upskilling employees to drive business performance, and supporting career progression and development. This agile and learner-centric solution helps you to build tailored learning plans that employees want from top-class employers. From basic to expert level, Learnify offers you the flexibility to give your staff what they need and when they need it. Our industry progression pathways make it easy for your staff to explore career development and can help you to increase retention rates through progression. As an agile learning platform, Learnify's evolving collection of resources reflects what businesses need to drive a culture of professional development. See how Learnify can support your business today.
Learnify will have 3 key focus areas. The first, supporting businesses to onboard and develop new employees effectively so that they can become high-performing members of staff who are more likely to be retained. In Phase 1, we are rolling out a series of induction and mandatory training modules. You have told us of the challenges you face when onboarding new team members with little or no experience. Having basic skills modules and this training in one place will make it easy to provide a structured and accessible induction programme for your new recruits. The second focus area is supporting employees to undertake professional development through learning linked directly to industry progression pathways and professional development modules. This will also support businesses to drive employee progression and retention. Limited opportunities for career progression is cited as one of the key barriers for employees considering a career in tourism. We will be rolling out a series of bite-sized professional development modules linked to progression pathways, which we've created with the industry to reflect live roles. This will help to drive a culture of professional development, creating awareness of learning opportunities needed for career progression. Employees can pull content from Learnify to address identified skill gaps and target that next promotion. And the third focus area is business performance. By supporting the development of employees from starters to managers in areas most critical to business performance in a way that is agile and responds to emerging industry needs. We will also migrate relevant content from our business support hub to Learnify, creating a centralised place for all Fáilte Ireland supports, making it easier for you and your team to access training to address your capability needs. And to give you a flavour of some of the content that will be available at launch, in terms of the onboarding and induction, we've got a Kickstart Your Tourism Journey, also Introduction to GDPR, Health and Safety and Equality and Diversity and Inclusion, and some role-specific training for food and beverage, kitchen operations and accommodation services. There will also be modules on customer service and management skills, as well as operational performance. And the final section for me to talk to you today is short-term lets. In September 2021, as part of the Housing for All strategy, an action was called out committing to the development of new regulatory controls requiring short-term and holiday lets to register with Fáilte Ireland, with a view to ensuring that houses are used to the best effect in areas of housing need. The Department of Tourism developed legislation to allow for the establishment of the register, working closely with the Department of Housing and Fáilte Ireland. The Short-Term Tourist Letting Bill allows for the establishment of a national register to complement existing tourist registers. Short-term tourist letting is defined as any accommodation offered to tourists for periods of up to and including 21 nights. This gives Fáilte Ireland the power to ensure that only properties with a valid Fáilte Ireland registration number are advertised. All providers of accommodation will have to display a Fáilte Ireland registration number on their advertising. This legislation also impacts booking platforms, requiring them to regularly report to Fáilte Ireland. And it gives us the power to share the short-term letting register data with the local authorities. The bill is currently undergoing Oireachtas and EU scrutiny, with a likely enactment date in early April 2023. The new register does not make any changes to the existing statutory responsibilities of accommodation providers, for example, planning permission. However, its introduction will make properties more visible to authorities, and therefore issues such as planning are more likely to arise. We are very aware of the uncertainty and confusion around planning permission. So for the first 6 months, there will be a clarification or transition period, which will allow everyone to continue to trade. Fáilte Ireland are working with the Department of Housing on developing planning permission guidance to ensure a balanced and consistent approach. And we have met with the local authorities with the Department of Housing to brief them on the process and gain input and buy-in to the planning guidelines. We have also been and will continue to advocate for the importance of short-term lets, particularly in rural areas with government and local authorities. We will continue to engage with representative groups and businesses who will be impacted by the register and keep them informed on progress. So how will this work? Any party offering accommodation for periods of up to and including 21 nights will need to be registered with Fáilte Ireland. You will be able to register via a quick and user-friendly online portal, and it's an annual registration. Upon successful registration, you will instantly receive a registration number, which you must display when advertising. Properties already registered with us will not need to register twice. They will be contacted by Fáilte Ireland and given a number to use. And all advertisers, for example, online booking platforms, must check property details and only advertise properties with a valid Fáilte Ireland register number. So before I finish, I want to encourage you to avail of the wide range of supports available and to wish you a successful 2023 season. And now I'm going to hand over to Jill, our Head of Consumer Planning, and she is going to introduce you to the new Domestic Motivations Framework, which explores tourist reasons for travel and how they can be used in the demand space.
Thank you, Jenny. We're delighted to have the opportunity to share Fáilte Ireland's new Domestic Motivations Framework with you this morning. There are many ways for us to understand tourists and consumers, and in particular why they travel, choose their destinations, as well as their behaviours while taking a break. And as you can see from this chart, the why, the motivation, is the single most important factor that drives domestic breaks and destination choice. Understanding and unpacking these motivations becomes a very rich lens through which to explore demand initiatives and ultimately a contributor to growth. And as consumers, we know we all have multiple motivations for taking a break. Any one person, therefore, should be seen in this light. So let's use the example of a woman, 45 plus, who has children living with her and her partner. She could be looking for a great family holiday where everybody gets to spend quality time with one another. For another trip, she could also be wanting to take a short break with long-standing girlfriends and spend time reconnecting with them. Or, in another trip occasion, she could also be looking for an outdoor adventure and to do something which is a little out of her physical comfort zone. We are therefore so much more than just a demographic or even a persona. Our motivations are multifaceted, maybe somewhat complex. But this is not to say that demographics are not relevant. Of course they are, but our conversations are enhanced and more effective when we understand the reasons why consumers travel. So using this thinking, we've developed a motivations framework in which 7 key motivations have been identified. These underpin all domestic travel, and I'm very proud to be able to share them with you today. The motivations framework has been developed from extensive and rigorous research and insights, as well as input from experts in this arena. None of the motivations are mutually exclusive, but the primary motivation will always be the most important for a particular trip. The percentages in the motivations wheel that you see in front of you reflect the total size of each motivation in domestic travel. And for each, there's an enormous amount of data available. We actually have over 5,000 travel occasions that we have used for our analysis. But for the purposes of today, I'm going to give you a really brief overview of each one and then just briefly talk about our next steps. So, starting with social energy. This motivation is driven by a desire to have fun, to be in a high energy atmosphere with like-minded individuals, and to immerse oneself in all that a travel occasion has to offer. While nightlife is the most important, ease of access, local food and drink, and availability of things to do are also important characteristics of this motivation. Typically, we see city breaks, festivals, sports events sitting in this motivation, and it is skewed towards younger and constrained adults. However, at the same time, unconstrained adults 45 plus also over-index in this space. Adventure, at 16% of all travel motivations, is led by the desire to test one's own personal limits or to go outside of one's own personal comfort zone. At the same time, it's not about extreme sports, and rather about doing something physical over and above normal activities. The motivation is typified by outdoor activities, and a consumer will usually only engage in one of these activities while on a trip. The occasion will be focused and intense. It's all about the depth of an experience rather than the breadth of multiple experiences. Solo travel over-indexes in this motivation, although couples are the primary demographic profile. Moving on to exploration. And exploration at 17% is heartland territory for tourism, and it's about discovering and exploring new and unfamiliar places. It's also the motivation where landscape, history, culture, and place all come together. They are not seen in isolation from one another, and therefore interconnected experiences are very important. Both attractions and activities play a strong role in this motivation. Tourists are looking for multiple attractions and activities with which to engage and to enrich their trip. The motivation is skewed towards 45 plus unconstrained adults. So time out, the next motivation, is what it says. Time to turn off the phones and to step away from day-to-day life. It's time to spend with one's significant other, time that is cherished and which is low-key in activities. It's also time for treating oneself. The location must be easy to get to, and it is often one couples have wanted to spend time in. Moving on to reconnection, at 11%, this is the time spent with friends where the focus is on relaxation, reconnecting, and enjoying treasured moments. It's all about ease and convenience and not having to worry about anything when it comes to a trip. While there is little engagement and activities and attractions generally, friends in this motivation are likely to go to gigs or festivals while together. Bonding strongly emotive segment, and it's all about creating lovely, lasting family moments and memories. It's about focusing on those relationships which are most important to us and feeling a sense of nostalgia. Trip length tends to be longer in bonding than it is in any of the other motivations. It's also where we see the most habitual behaviour when it comes to destination choice, and it is dominated by families as the demographic profile. And as a result, children's needs and their requirements drive all behaviour and choices, with safety and security being paramount. And of course, when on a family trip, different days can bring different motivations. And as a result, this motivation feeds into social energy, adventure, and exploration in particular. And finally, moving on to celebration, which is focused on celebrating and rejoicing in special milestones and achievements, such as birthdays, weddings, graduations, and so on. It's characterised by short stays that are in convenient locations. So our motivation framework adds rich context to the way we view our consumers. It can be used in so many different ways to shape, inform, and guide better decision-making and choices. The framework has been rolled out internally at Fáilte Ireland, and we will be taking this to all external stakeholders and industry over the next 2 months. Flipbooks, presentations, toolkits, and other supports will also be available. And really importantly for us, there's also an emphasis on this being an iterative approach, with constant updates on case studies and learnings. And by sharing these on an ongoing basis, we aim to continue our journey of using consumer data and insights in decision making. And on that note, I'm going to hand back to Paul.
Thank you, Jenny, and thank you, Jill. Look, that's it for us, folks, for this session. I hope you found the session helpful, and thank you very much for staying tuned in and staying with us. Of course, we're looking forward to seeing as many of you as possible on the regional roadshows in the coming days, but that's it for this morning. Slán agus beannacht.